So it seems like they just released a new patch. I did not expect this. This just happened over the air or OTA, so let's get into it. This will be my first time seeing these, so my initial reaction. But yeah, they're able to patch the game without really patching the game. It just happens like server side or something. So they're saying they're making 4 changes in an ongoing effort to encourage a more diverse spread of decks and individual cards being played to set expectations. This patch won't cure all the metagame ills, but it should represent an improvement until our next action-packed patch. So I'm assuming this is not, well, maybe it is, but maybe there's going to be a bigger patch later. They're only touching 4 cards, but we got Red Skull here going down to a 12. Doesn't seem like really anything's happening except losing 1 power. So they're hoping when you Shuri, I guess instead of it being a 26, it'll be a 24. The card is still good. I still wish they would address Shuri or something, but now when the ongoing effect is fully active, it'll be a 5/8 instead of a 5/9. Let's see what they say though. We last adjusted Red Skull to weaken specifically his interactions with Shuri and Taskmaster. Our goal was to keep his strength otherwise flat or even slightly improved and see how things settled once we softened Thanos' grip on the metagame. Yeah, there's a lot less Thanos now. We know many players disagreed with that approach, but we're weighing that feedback as we continue to debate internally how aggressive our balance updates should be. They want to make small changes and see how things are affected in the meta instead of making these big changes that could be really bad for the meta. So it kind of makes sense from that perspective. In this case, things settled to an improved metagame, but with decks based around Shuri and Taskmaster still too strong for our liking, we recognize Shuri is clearly the true offender here. And we have a balance change for Shuri ready. However, for that change, Shuri needs a patch to be implemented, so we can't make it via OTA. So I think they're a little bit restricted in over-the-air patches. So this is a small over-the-air package or patch, not a real patch, right? Like I think they can't change card text. It's just like the numbers or something. So power level or energy level. So this is an interim adjustment to weaken the Shuri deck a bit more. We do expect Shuri to remain viable after this Red Skull tweak, but we don't want to drastically nerf multiple innocent cards when we have an incoming nerf to Shuri herself. Once the change to Shuri is live, will we revert this or previous Red Skull changes? Maybe, but we're going to give that some time. So we'd rather ensure a large shift in the metagame. So at least they're saying they're willing to revert nerfs. I personally am not a fan of this one. I guess mostly because it targets Dracula Dump, which I feel like was a healthy game or healthy deck for the game. So here they're hurting Red Skull's inclusion in any deck instead of just the Shuri deck. So curious to what you guys think, like in the comments, but I feel like, well, hopefully they revert it once they do nerf Shuri, because Shuri is the offender. We got Sunspot at a 1/1 going to a 1/0. I actually think I just talked about this on the podcast with Dara. Seems like a simple enough change that would be, well, good enough. It's a nice little change to kind of see how it affects Sunspot. Sunspot is like the most included card, so this going down by 1 power, I do like this one. Let's see what they have to say though. One of the most heavily played cards in the game. The why is obvious. He's strong. He's in Series 2. He has powerful synergies. Well, what? I think it's fine that everyone has access to him. But he has powerful synergies with other cards like She-Hulk and Infinite. Oh, the opportunity cost for having him in your deck is also very low, since you have to have 1 spare energy on any turn to unlock his strength floor, and the ceiling can be very high. Yeah, because then he ends up hitting a 1/2, and then he's very good value. So now you need to float at least, I guess, 2 energy to kind of make him worth it, being the 1 energy 2 power sort of base. All this adds up to solid criteria for a minor nerf, creating space for less played cards. Now we can all play Quicksilver. We were curious if nerfing She-Hulk would have any impact on Sunspot, but truthfully, we didn't expect any change to be assumed, and we'd be making the adjustment sooner rather than later. We did evaluate some other changes to Sunspot, but for Series 2 cards, we want to retain the elegance of the original design, just a touch weaker. It's default card in both Shuri and Thanos. The change does impact those decks a bit more than others too. So they're saying this is going to hurt Shuri and Thanos. I mean, it's just a blanket nerf, right? I think it's fine. I don't expect this to make Shuri or Thanos less played, but it's I think a good change. And a minor one, minor tweak. Shadow King going to a 3/3, so it's almost like you permanently always have the Zabu buff on him. I do think Shadow King is pretty well aligned with this meta, or he's got a good shot in the meta, an underutilized tech card, because he's good against Bishop, he's good against Hitmonk, he's good against Taskmaster, he's good against a lot of cards, Angela, Iron Man, or like anything that gets basted or valked maybe. But Shadow King's whole purpose is to fight back against exactly the kind of thing Shuri's doing. This card is simply too weak to be a consideration for most decks. Yeah, it's like the least played card in the game. He is, you know, what, Pool 4 or Series 4? Yeah, so, yeah. Recognize his status as a Series 4 card that's used to answer powerful decks, rather than refuel them, might be his potential to impact the game. However, we're happy to just give him a boost and see where things land from here. I think this is good. 3/3. I'm gonna mess around with some Shadow King for sure. I think he's solid in this meta. Not great, not amazing, but he's good, and he definitely wasn't expected. Sentry from a 4/8 to a 10/10, and the Void now has -2 additional more. I am definitely gonna be playing some Sentry. I always thought like Sentry was borderline good. It's just a best case scenario is a 4/8. Now he is shankable, so we have to keep that into consideration. But Sentry is a card that hasn't found a great home yet. While the numbers change aren't obviously an impactful buff, it does increase the potential reward for running Sentry, making potential damage, donating your Void with Viper. Exactly. This is a change we've been interested to try out, so we're making it here. I almost wish Sentry was still 4/8, so he could dodge Shank. And Void was -10 or -12. I think that would be better, just because everyone's running Shank. So I think one of the strengths of this Sentry deck that I was playing before was that you pretty much weren't shankable aside from your Typhoid Mary. But with Sentry being a 10, you definitely are shankable. So this will be interesting. But yeah, being able to donate that Void on the right is going to be even better. Or, you know, you don't really care about the drawback because you can Carnage it or Valkyrie it or something like that. So this will be interesting. It'll be definitely fun to mess around with Sentry, and I think Sentry is a good card that people like. Probably just because no one plays him. So they give a little bit of input here on their balance future and whatnot. So, or the balance of future cards in Marvel Snap, starting with an upcoming April patch scheduled for 4/18. Oh, okay. See, so we know another one's already coming. It's going to be in like a week and a half. So that's relatively soon. So this will hopefully tide us over until then. We'll be making weekly changes, 2 cards to the game. So starting with the 18th, they're going to do weekly changes. That's pretty nice. That'll keep the game fresh, I think. Our patch every 4 weeks will continue to release on Tuesdays and include card updates as well. But the intervening weeks will each feature changes going live on Thursdays. Oh, versus or via OTA. Okay, so they're going to do the bigger, larger patches on Tuesdays once a month, it sounds like. And these smaller little changes, 1 power here, 1 energy there, will be weekly on Thursdays over the air. That's really nice. I almost feel like, is that too frequent? It's gonna be interesting from a content creator perspective. If I make a video on a card and then the card gets changed, this will be a logistical issue for me, but I think it's good for the state of the game. So they know this is what people have been clamoring for. Yeah, we want more frequent updates. We want cards to be addressed quickly. That'd be nice. Like the Shuri issue. I think a lot of people are leaving the game because of Shuri. At least people talking to me saying they're leaving the game because Shuri is just so dominant, and I think it's kind of a brain dead deck to play. I think that's the thing. It's really easy to play at a low skill level. Been a multi-team effort to get this process buttoned up over the last month. We all hope you're as excited as we are. I do think this is going to be generally just good overall. Let's go ahead and address some of the questions that should be popular. Why Thursdays? Why not? Thursdays are a good day to slide in the rest of our schedule, ensure QA team has enough time to verify these updates, and avoid stepping on any new card releases or hot featured locations. That's true. We got hots on, what is it, Wednesday? Or is it Tuesday? Wednesday and Sunday, right? So this will be after those, so that'll be fun. What kind of changes will we make? The OTA gives the ability to make changes within a week or 2. It's limited to what we can change. We're continuing to develop the tool and expand its limitations, but for now you can expect Thursday changes to be numbers only, like the above. Yeah. Larger patches addressing more changes. So yeah, I assume like changes like the arrow or leader nerfs, Those have to be real patches, but if you're going to add 1 power or remove 1 energy, you can do it OTA with their OTA tool. So that can happen. Will there be nerfing or buffing of cards? As you can see with Sentry and Shadow King, we do intend to buff cards through OTA. We're going to guarantee at least 1 buff in each of these updates. Wow, that's like one a week to just cards that aren't used. I think that's actually so cool though. Like, what if they're just like, you know what? Quicksilver's a 1/3 now, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh my goodness, Quicksilver is too good, and then the next week they pull it back, right? I think it'd be fun. They can probably just keep doing this until they find a sweet spot, as long as they don't get egotistical with being like, hey, yeah, we fucked up and we gave this card too much power, so we're gonna pull that back. As long as they don't get an ego about that, then I think this is gonna be good. So their target is 2 to 4 cards. I think that is completely fine because it's on a weekly cadence, so that's pretty nice. On patch weeks, it's probably changed more. Yeah, they get a lot more wiggle room here on these monthly patches. How will we pick which cards to change? We have a list of buffs and very small nerfs that we're making to existing content. We're prioritizing them based on how we expect the individual changes to affect the metagame or even combine with the new cards and locations, but we'll shift them around based on the live metagame. That's good. Why not make all those changes now? One of the things we're wary of balance patch is how much change is too much. We've avoided changing more than a handful of cards at a time for a while now, and we think it's good because it's easier to digest. It's true. It's really hard to predict how a meta is going to respond with just 1 or 2 card changes. I think the Shuri coming the dominant deck was something they should have seen a mile away, but as far as how they really like tackle that issue is something that's harder to actually do while keeping the game healthy. So that's why they're doing these smaller changes. Pacing out these changes lets us lightly freshen the metagame periodically rather than shake it all at once and watching it settle into a new state. Yeah, this is good. I think constant small changes is better than 1 big change and then waiting 2-3 months like some other card games might do, because then the meta gets solved within a week and then it's incredibly well, I think solved metas are kind of boring personally. How long will we do this? So they've planned for a trial period in May, and depending on how it goes, it may continue onward. So it's good that, you know, it's a trial period. This, if for some reason backfires, then hopefully they will not continue doing that. So yeah, weekly balance updates. See you in a couple weeks on a new snapter in the book of digital balance. Like chapter, snapter, snapster. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you all think of this. Let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for this? Are you happy? I know everyone probably wishes Shuri was addressed, but that'll be in a future patch. They've already alluded to it. That'll be, I think they said the 18th, so a little under 2 weeks at this point. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a good day. Good luck on ladder and stay hydrated.